Is she single? The question cracked through the office like a gunshot. Blake Moretti's whiskey glass shattered against the wall 3 feet from Victor Volkoff's head. Say her name one more time, Victor. One more time, I dare you. Outside the door, Brianna Mitchell stood frozen, a stack of files pressed against her chest, her heart hammering so loud she was sure they could hear it. For 2 years, Blake Moretti had looked through her like she was glass. For 2 years, she had been nothing to him but coffee orders and schedule changes. But tonight, a stranger had asked 4 words, and the coldest man in Manhattan had just snapped. Dear friends, before we go any further, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and tap the notification bell so you never miss a story like this one. Stay with me all the way to the end, because what happens next will break your heart and then stitch it back together in ways you won't see coming. And in the comments below, tell me the city you're watching from tonight. I love seeing how far these stories travel from small towns to big cities all around the world. Now let's go back to the very beginning, to the morning that changed everything for Brianna Mitchell. 4:45 in the morning, and Brianna Mitchell was already awake. She hadn't really been sleeping. She hadn't slept properly in 7 months. Not since the doctor at Mount Sinai sat across from her and her mother and said the word cancer like it was just another word, like it didn't cost $6,000 a month to treat. She sat up in the dark and listened. Down the hall, she heard her mother breathing. Slow, shallow. The rattle was there again tonight, that dry little catch at the end of every breath that made Brianna's stomach twist. She whispered into the dark, "One more day, Lord. Just give me one more day." She slipped out of bed without turning on the light. She dressed in the bathroom, the same navy blouse she had worn on Tuesday, pressed twice because she only owned 3. She laid out her mother's pills on the kitchen counter, 8 of them lined up in a row like little soldiers. She wrote the note she wrote every morning. I love you, Mama. Angela comes at 9. Call me if anything hurts. I'll be home soon. She never was home soon, but she always wrote it anyway. By 5:30, she was standing at the bus stop with her forehead pressed against the pole, watching her breath fog in the cold March air. She was 26 years old. She looked 35. She felt 50. The lobby of Moretti Tower was still dark when she arrived at 6:20. Henry, the night guard, was finishing his shift. He looked up from his newspaper and shook his head. Miss Mitchell. Morning, Henry. Sweetheart, you look like you haven't slept in a week. 2 weeks if we're counting. You know what I'm going to say? I know Henry. That man is going to work you into an early grave. She smiled, and the smile didn't reach her eyes. Then I guess I'll be in good company. He watched her walk to the elevator, and he shook his head again the way a man does when he sees something he can't fix. The 43rd floor was silent at that hour, just the hum of the lights and the smell of fresh polish on the marble. Brianna flipped on the switches one by one, and the offices came alive. She started the espresso machine. She pulled yesterday's files. She lined up Blake's 3 morning papers on the right-hand corner of his desk, the Wall Street Journal, on top the way he liked it. At 6:47, her phone buzzed. Reschedule. Henderson to 10. Kill the Osaka call. Pull the Queens file. Now. No, please. No good morning. Not once in 2 years. She stood at her desk and stared at the message, and for 1 second, just one, she thought about throwing her phone out the window. Then she set it down, opened her laptop, and got to work. At exactly 7 o'clock, the elevator chimed. Brianna straightened her blouse. She folded her hands on the desk. She took a breath. The glass door swung open, and Blake Moretti walked in. He didn't look at her. He never looked at her. He walked past her desk like she was part of the furniture, his long coat opening at his sides, his leather shoes clicking sharp against the marble. Queen's file. On your desk, sir. Coffee. Already there, sir. Henderson. Rescheduled to 10. Confirmed. He stopped at his office door. For one strange second, he almost turned. Almost. Then he kept walking. The door closed behind him with the softest click. Brianna sat down. She let out a long, slow breath. Her hands were trembling. At 7:20, her phone buzzed. A text from Angela, her mother's nurse. Honey just wants you to know your mama had a rough night. I'm giving her the new meds now. She's okay. But it was rough. Brianna closed her eyes. She set the phone face down on the desk. She swallowed hard. And then Blake's voice came through the intercom. Mitchell, my office, now. She stood up too fast. The room spun. She grabbed the edge of the desk. She steadied herself. She walked in with her notebook. He was standing at the window with his back to her. He did not turn around. Close the door. She closed it. The Queen's file is missing 3 pages. I'm sorry, sir. I'll... Stop apologizing. Do your job. Yes, sir. Are you even awake, Mitchell? Yes, sir. Look at me. She looked up. He had turned. And for the first time that morning, his dark eyes actually landed on her. They moved slowly from her face to her shaking hands to the dark circles under her eyes, and something in his expression flickered. Just for half a second. Then it was gone, locked back behind that cold marble wall. When did you last eat? The question was so strange, so completely unlike him, that she thought she had misheard. I'm sorry, sir. When did you last eat? I had coffee, sir. Coffee is not food, Mitchell. I'm fine. You're swaying on your feet. If you faint in this office, I have to explain it to HR, and I do not like explaining things to HR. He walked around his desk. He yanked open a drawer. He pulled out a protein bar and slapped it onto the desk between them. Eat. Sir, I eat, Mitchell. She picked it up. Her fingers would not cooperate. She fumbled with the wrapper and it fell open in her hand. She took a small bite. It tasted like dust. He watched her chew like a man watching a surgery. Queen's file corrected by 9. Yes, sir. Go. She left. She closed the door behind her. She leaned against it for 3 full seconds because her knees had gone soft and she could feel her pulse in her throat. In 2 years, Blake Moretti had never given her anything. Not a word of thanks, not a Christmas card, not a bless you when she sneezed. And now he was handing her protein bars. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. The morning moved fast. She fielded 11 phone calls. She sent out 16 emails. She rearranged 3 meetings. At 10, Henderson came and went. At 10:30, the legal team filed in for a 40-minute session behind closed doors. At 11, a delivery arrived, a long white box. The florist said it was for Ms. Mitchell. Brianna stared at the card. Her throat went dry. For the lady who holds this whole floor together, rest this weekend. BM. She opened the box with shaking hands. White roses, 24 of them. She sat down in her chair and looked at them for a long time, and she could not decide whether she wanted to laugh or cry. The intercom clicked. Mitchell. She pressed the button. Her voice was barely steady. Yes, sir. Send in the Brennan file. Yes, sir. She walked in. He was sitting behind his desk now, and he did not look up. She placed the file in front of him. She turned to leave. Did they come? She stopped. Sir. The flowers, did they arrive? Yes, sir. Good. Silence. Mitchell. Yes, sir. They are not from a man, do you understand me? They are from your employer, who observed that his assistant has not slept in 7 months and looks like she is about to drop dead in his waiting room. She blinked. Twice. Yes, sir. Good. Go. She turned to leave. At the door she stopped. She didn't turn. She just said very quietly, thank you, sir. Don't thank me. Work. Yes, sir. At 11:40, her phone rang. The hospital. She grabbed it and practically ran to the stairwell. This is Brianna. Ms. Mitchell, this is Dr. Rains. I'm calling about your mother. Is she okay? She's stable. I want to stress that. She's stable, but we've had a complication with her last round of chemotherapy, and we need to discuss next steps. There's a new immunotherapy trial. It's very promising, but it's not covered by insurance. She sat down on the cold concrete step. She pressed the phone against her ear. How much? Miss Mitchell. How much, doctor? 42,000 for the first course. The air went out of her lungs. She could not speak for a moment. I don't have that. I don't have that kind of money. I understand there are financing options. I can have our patient services office call you, but I need a decision by Monday. The trial begins Tuesday. Monday. I'm sorry, Ms. Mitchell. I wish I had better news. She sat on the stairs with the phone in her hand after he hung up, and for the first time in 7 months, she cried. Really cried, shaking shoulders, her face in her hands. Silent because, even falling apart, she was too disciplined to be loud about it. $42,000. She made $72,000 a year before taxes. After rent, after her mother's medications, after the copays, in the transportation, in the groceries, she had maybe $200 left in her checking account at any given time. $42,000 might as well have been the moon. She didn't know how long she sat there. 5 minutes, maybe 10. She pulled herself together. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She walked back up to the 43rd floor. Blake was standing at her desk. He was holding the Kessler file. He was staring at her empty chair. And when he turned and saw her red eyes, something crossed his face that she could not read. "Where were you?" "Stairwell, sir. Personal call." "Are you all right?" "Yes, sir." "Mitchell." "Yes, sir. Everything's fine." He looked at her for a long, long moment. He didn't believe her. She could see it in his eyes, but he didn't push. "Kessler revisions by 4. "Yes, sir." He walked back to his office. At the threshold, he stopped. He did not turn around. "If you need anything, Mitchell, anything at all, you tell me. Do you hear me?" Her throat closed. "Yes, sir." The door shut. At 1 o'clock, the elevator chimed. A man stepped off that Brianna had never seen before. Tall, broad-shouldered, expensive suit that didn't quite sit right on him like the man inside it was used to wearing something rougher. His eyes swept the office slow and hungry, and they landed on her. "I'm here to see Mr. Moretti." Eastern European accent, thick, the kind of accent you heard in old movies about bad men. "Do you have an appointment?" "He will see me." "Sir, I'll need a name." "Victor?" "He will know." Something cold crawled up her spine. She pressed the intercom. "Sir, there's a Mr. Victor here to see you." A long, long silence. Then Blake's voice, very flat. "Send him in." The man smiled at her. It was not a smile. It was a set of teeth. "Thank you, little one." She said nothing. She did not look at him. He walked past her and she smelled cologne and cigarette smoke and something else. Something metallic like a penny left too long in your pocket. He went into Blake's office and shut the door. Brianna sat at her desk. Her hands were shaking again. She tried to type. She couldn't. She tried to read the Kessler file. The words wouldn't hold still. 40 minutes passed. She could hear voices through the door, low and tense. She couldn't make out the words, but she could feel the temperature in the outer office drop like a weather front moving through. And then very clearly, as if the man had deliberately raised his voice for her to hear, Victor's question came through the heavy wood. "Tell me, Blake, the little one outside, she is very pretty. Tell me, is she single?" Brianna's fingers froze on the keyboard. The silence on the other side of the door was enormous. And then Blake's voice. Low, quiet. The way a man's voice gets right before he does something he cannot take back. "Victor, yes. Ask about her one more time. Just one more time. And I will put you through that wall." "Blake, my friend, do you hear me, Victor?" "I hear you." "Say it again." "I hear you, Blake. I hear you." Brianna could not breathe. The office door opened. Victor walked out. He adjusted his cuffs. He looked at her and his eyes were different now. Watchful. Calculating. He gave her a small, slow nod as if to say, "I see you now, little one. I see you." And he stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. Brianna sat at her desk. She could hear her own heartbeat. The intercom clicked. "Mitchell." "Yes, sir." "Come here now." She walked in. Blake was at the window, his back to her. His shoulders were moving with his breathing. She had never in 2 years seen him rattled. She was seeing it now. "Close the door." She closed it. "Sit down." She sat. He turned. His face was carved out of stone, but his eyes were alive with something terrible. "How much did you hear?" "Sir, don't. I heard him ask if I was single. I heard what you said." "Good. Then listen to me, Mitchell, and listen carefully. Victor Volkoff is not a businessman. He is not a colleague. If he comes to this floor again, you call security. You do not speak to him. You do not look at him. You do not take anything from his hand. Do you understand me?" "Yes, sir." "If he approaches you on the street, you do not call the police. You call me. You call me Mitchell before anything else. Am I clear?" "Yes, sir, but what?" "Sir, who is he?" Blake looked at her for a long moment, and then very quietly he said something that turned her blood to ice. "He is a man who makes women disappear, Mitchell. He is a man who has made women disappear before, and he just asked me if you were single. So I am telling you this one time and one time only. From this day forward, you are not to walk to that bus stop alone. You are not to go home alone. You are not to do anything alone. Am I clear? She could not speak. Mitchell, am I clear? Yes, sir. Good. She stood up on legs that were not her legs. She walked to the door, and at the door she stopped. She didn't turn around. Sir? Yes. Why are you protecting me? The silence behind her was long. It was the longest silence of her life. And then Blake Moretti said in a voice she had never heard from him, in a voice that was almost a whisper, "Because I should have started 2 years ago, Mitchell, and I didn't. And I am not going to make that mistake a second time." She did not turn around. She did not move. She stood at the door with her hand on the knob and her heart breaking quietly in her chest. Then she opened the door. She walked out. She closed it behind her. And in the outer office, she sat down at her desk and she looked at the vase of white roses and she put her face in her hands, and she did not know if she was crying from fear or from exhaustion or from the slow, terrible realization that the man she had spent 2 years hating had just told her, in the only language he knew how to speak, that he had been watching her all along. Her phone buzzed. One text. No name, but she knew the number. "Marcus is downstairs. He will drive you home. Do not argue with me." B. She read it. Once, twice, 3 times, and then she typed back with hands that would not stop trembling 2 words she had never said to him in 2 years. "Thank you." The reply came in 3 seconds. "Don't thank me yet, Mitchell." She stared at the screen, and somewhere deep in her chest, underneath the exhaustion and the fear, in the $42,000 she did not have, a new feeling was taking root. She did not know what it was. She did not know if it was hope or dread or something stranger than both. She only knew that something had begun, something that could not be stopped now, and Blake Moretti had started it. The black sedan pulled away from Moretti Tower, and Brianna pressed her forehead against the cool window and closed her eyes. Marcus watched her in the rearview mirror. He was a big man, quiet, maybe 50 years old, with gray at his temples and hands that looked like they had seen a lot of winters. He did not try to make small talk. He just drove. After a long time, Brianna opened her eyes and said, "Marcus." "Yes, Miss Mitchell." "How long have you worked for Mr. Moretti?" 12 years, ma'am." 12 years. "Yes, ma'am." She turned her head to look at the back of his neck. "Marcus, can I ask you something?" "You can ask me anything, ma'am. I can't promise I'll answer." "Who is he?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. His eyes found hers in the mirror. "He's a man who takes care of the people he cares about, ma'am. That's all I'll say tonight. And the people he doesn't care about." Marcus didn't answer. He didn't have to. The silence was the answer. She looked back at the window. The lights of Manhattan blurred past in long gold streaks, and she felt something tighten in her chest that had nothing to do with Victor Volkoff or her mother or the $42,000 she did not have. She had worked for Blake Moretti for 2 years. And tonight, for the first time, she understood she had never worked for Blake Moretti at all. She had worked for a mask he put on in the morning and took off again at night. The man underneath the mask was a stranger, and the stranger, for reasons she could not begin to understand, was protecting her. So Marcus pulled up to her apartment building at 7:40. He cut the engine. He got out and opened her door before she could reach for the handle. "Marcus, you don't have to." "Yes, ma'am, I do." He walked her to the door of the building. He waited while she dug out her keys. He waited while she fumbled them and dropped them and picked them up again, because her hands still would not stop shaking. "Miss Mitchell." "Yes." "You don't have to be afraid tonight. I'll be parked right here till morning." She stopped with the key halfway to the lock. "What?" "Mr. Moretti's orders." "All night." "All night, ma'am." She stared at him. She did not know what to say. Finally, she said, "Marcus, have you eaten?" "Ma'am, if you're sitting out here all night, you need to eat." Something soft moved across Marcus's face. A flicker of a smile. He shook his head slowly. "Mr. Moretti said you'd say something like that." "He said what?" "He said, and I quote, 'She is going to try to feed you. Don't let her. She does not have food to spare.'" Brianna stared at him, her throat closed. "Go inside, ma'am. Your mama's waiting." She went inside. The apartment was quiet. The single lamp in the living room was on. Her mother was sitting up on the couch in her old pink robe, the one that had been pink 30 years ago and was something closer to gray now. and she looked up when Brianna walked through the door. Mama, you should be in bed. Come sit with me. Mama, come sit with me, baby. Brianna dropped her bag. She walked over to the couch. She sat down next to her mother, and her mother took one look at her face and said, Oh, baby, what happened? Nothing, Mama. Brianna Elise Mitchell. Mama, whose car dropped you off tonight? She blinked. How did you? I heard it. I was at the window. That was not the bus, baby. Brianna put her face in her hands. Her mother reached over and put a thin, cool hand on her back. She did not press. She just waited. She had always been a woman who knew how to wait for the truth to arrive on its own. Finally, Brianna said, It's complicated, Mama. Most things are. He sent me home in a car. My boss, he sent a driver. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know yet. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, Baby, look at me. Brianna looked up. Dr. Raines called me this afternoon about the new treatment. Mama, I told him no. You told him what? I told him no, baby. I'm not doing it. Brianna sat up straight. Mama, that is not your decision to make. It is the only decision I have left, and I am making it. Mama, $42,000, Brianna. You don't have $42,000. I don't have $42,000, and I am not going to sit in this apartment watching you kill yourself at that job for another 6 months just to buy me 6 more months. Do you hear me? I am not going to do that. Mama, you stop it. You stop that right now. Baby, and you stop it. Her voice cracked on the last word. Her mother reached out and pulled her in, and Brianna put her head down on her mother's shoulder, and for the second time that day, she cried without making a sound. Her mother held her. Her mother's hand moved in slow circles on her back, the way it had when she was a little girl, and the world was too big. Baby, her mother whispered, it is time to let me go. No. Baby. No, Mama. Not yet. Not like this. Not because of money. Brianna, I will find a way. I will find a way, Mama. Do you hear me? I will find a way. Her mother didn't answer. She just kept her hand moving in those slow circles. And Brianna closed her eyes, and in the dark behind her eyelids, she saw a vase of white roses on her desk and a man standing at a window with his back to her. And she heard a voice that was almost a whisper say, Because I should have started 2 years ago, Mitchell, and I didn't. She did not know what she was going to do. She only knew she was going to do something. Her phone buzzed at 11:12. Are you home safe? She stared at the screen in the dark. She was in bed. She was not sleeping. Her mother was snoring softly in the next room, the morphine doing its work. She typed back, I'm home. 3 dots. Then sleep, Mitchell. The Brennan brief is handled. She stared at it. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. Then before she could stop herself, she typed, Why are you doing this? The dots came. They went. They came again. They went. He was writing something. He was deleting it. He was writing something else. Finally, go to sleep. Mitchell, Marcus is downstairs. No one is going to hurt you tonight. She read it twice. She set the phone down on the nightstand. She lay in the dark and stared at the ceiling and thought, He didn't answer my question. He didn't answer my question, and that is the answer. She fell asleep sometime after 2. At 6 the next morning, she walked out of her building, and Marcus was standing beside the black sedan with a paper coffee cup and a bag from the bakery on the corner. Ma'am. Marcus, I can take the bus. No, ma'am, you can't. Marcus. He said, and I quote again, Do not let her take the bus. I will know. She stared at him. She took the coffee. She got in the car. Halfway to the tower, she said, Marcus, did you eat last night? Yes, ma'am. There was a diner on the corner. Very good pancakes. He paid for it. He paid for all of it, ma'am. She looked out the window. Blake was already in the office when she arrived. His door was closed. She heard voices behind it. One of them was his. One of them was a woman, sharp and clipped and furious. Brianna sat at her desk and tried not to listen. She tried very hard. But the voices rose, and at a certain point, she heard the woman say, If you drag that girl into your mess, Blake, I swear to God. And then she heard Blake say in a voice that was flat and dangerous, Get out of my office, Elena. The door opened. A tall woman walked out. She was beautiful in the cold, hard way. Some women are beautiful blonde hair pulled back a suit that costs more than Brianna's rent. She stopped at Brianna's desk. She looked Brianna up and down. Her mouth curved into something that was not a smile. So you're the one. I'm sorry. Sweet little thing, terrified eyes, I see the appeal. Excuse me. A word of advice, honey. Run, whatever he is offering you, whatever he has told you, run. He destroys everything he touches. I would know. I was married to him for 4 years. Brianna's stomach dropped out of her body. The woman walked past her. She stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. Brianna sat at her desk, unable to move. A moment later, the intercom clicked. Mitchell. She did not press the button. Mitchell. She did not press the button. Blake's office door opened. He walked out. He stopped at her desk. He saw her face. He saw whatever was in her face. He said very quietly, "What did she say to you?" "Nothing, sir." Mitchell. "She said you were married to her for 4 years, sir." Blake closed his eyes for exactly 1 second. When he opened them, he said, "Come with me." "Sir, come with me, Mitchell, please." The word please. He had never said that word to her, not once. She stood up. She followed him into his office. He closed the door. He did not sit down. He walked to the window. He stood with his hands in his pockets looking out at the city, and for a long moment he did not speak. Then he said, "I was married to her for 4 years. I was divorced 3 years ago. She is not happy about the divorce. She is in particular not happy that I have shown up for work every morning for the past 2 years and walked past my assistant without speaking to her, because, as my ex-wife is fond of pointing out, that is what a guilty man does." Brianna did not breathe. "Guilty of what, sir?" He didn't turn around. "Mitchell, do you remember the first day you came to work for me?" "Yes, sir. March 8th, 2 years ago." "Do you remember how you got the job?" "The agency sent me, sir." "No, Mitchell, they did not." She blinked. "Sir." He turned then. He looked at her, and his face was the face of a man who had been carrying a weight for a very long time. "I saw you 2.5 years ago, Mitchell, on the platform at the 42nd Street station. You were crying. You were on the phone with someone. You were telling them your mother had been diagnosed with cancer. You were trying very hard not to make a sound because the train was coming and you didn't want the strangers on the platform to see." Her lips parted. No sound came out. "I saw you, and I walked away, and I went home, and I could not sleep that night, and I could not sleep the next night, and a week later I called my HR director, and I told him that I wanted the next open position on my floor given to a young woman named Brianna Mitchell, who was currently temping at a law firm in Midtown. I told him to pay her twice what the job was listed at. I told him to offer her the health insurance plan reserved for vice presidents, and I told him to never under any circumstances tell her that the offer had come from me." Brianna's hand went to her mouth. "Sir, let me finish, Mitchell. Sir, let me finish." She let him finish. "For 2 years, he said, I have paid for your mother's treatment. Not all of it. I couldn't make it obvious. But the supplemental coverage that kicked in at month 4, the one that covered the experimental chemotherapy, that was me. The donation to the Patient Assistance Fund at Mount Sinai that happened to arrive 1 week before your mother needed it, that was me. The rideshare credits that appeared in your app last winter, which you assumed were a promotion, those were me." Her knees went soft. She put her hand on the back of the chair, to steady herself. "I could not give you the money directly. You would not have taken it. I knew you well enough even then to know you would not have taken it. So I did it the only way I knew how. Sir, and I walked past you every morning for 2 years. Mitchell and I did not speak to you, and I did not look at you because I was terrified that if I did, I would not be able to stop." "Sir, stop. Yesterday, Mitchell Dr. Raines called you about a $42,000 trial. I know because Dr. Raines called me also. I told him I would cover it. I told him your mother starts the trial Tuesday, and that is final, and I will pay every bill, and your mother is not going to die because of money. Do you understand me?" "Sir, she is not going to die because of money, Mitchell. I am telling you this now because yesterday a man named Victor Volkoff walked into this office and he looked at you and he asked if you were single, and that changes things. That changes everything. Because if Victor Volkoff has noticed you, then other men have noticed you, and you are no longer safe being invisible, which means I can no longer be invisible either. She was shaking. She was shaking all over. Sir. Yes, Mitchell. Why? Why what? Why me? He was silent for a long time. Because you were crying on a train platform, Mitchell, and no one stopped. Not one person. I stood on that platform for 90 seconds and watched strangers walk past you like you were not there. And I thought, if I walk away now, I will be one of those strangers for the rest of my life. And I could not live with that. She closed her eyes. Tears were running down her face. She did not try to stop them. Sir. Yes. My mother said no to the trial. He blinked. What? She said we can't afford it. She told Dr. Raines no. Blake was already reaching for his phone. Then she is going to tell Dr. Raines yes. I will call him now. Sir, please, let me tell her. Let me tell my own mother. He stopped. His hand went down. He nodded once. Yes, you're right. You tell her. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She looked up at him. Sir. Yes. I don't know what to say to you. You don't have to say anything, Mitchell. I don't know how to... Nothing. You don't have to do anything. This is not a debt. It feels like a debt. It isn't. Sir. Mitchell, listen to me. If you walk out of this office today and you never speak to me again, your mother still gets the treatment. Do you understand that? Nothing changes. Nothing is required of you. Nothing is expected of you. Not your gratitude, not your company, not your anything. She stared at him. Then why are you telling me this now? He was quiet. He walked back to the window. His hands went into his pockets again. Because Victor Volkoff is dangerous, Mitchell, and I can no longer protect you from a distance. I have to bring you closer. And I cannot bring you closer without telling you the truth about who I am and what I have done and why I have done it. Because you deserve to make that choice with your eyes open. Somewhere in the outer office, the phone rang. Neither of them moved. Brianna said in a voice that did not sound like her own, Sir, who are you? He did not turn around. For a long moment, she thought he would not answer. Then he said, My last name is Moretti Mitchell. My father's name was John Carlo Moretti. Does that name mean anything to you? She shook her head slowly, then her blood went cold. Wait, yes. The Moretti family. Yes. Yes, Mitchell. She sat down. She sat down hard in the chair behind her because her legs had stopped working. Oh my God. I have been trying to bring this business into the light for 7 years, Mitchell. I am close. I am very close. But I am not there yet. And there are men like Victor Volkoff who do not want me to get there, who would rather see me buried than see me legitimate. And those men have noticed that after 2 years of looking past the same assistant every morning, I did something yesterday that I have never done before. What did you do? He turned. His eyes found hers. I defended her. She could not breathe. And from this moment forward, Mitchell, every one of them is going to be watching you. Every one of them is going to wonder who you are and why you matter. And some of them, the smart ones, are going to figure it out before I am ready for them to. Sir. Yes. What are you saying? He walked toward her. He stopped at the edge of his desk. He looked down at her, and there was nothing cold left in his eyes at all. There was only a man who had been very alone for a very long time, looking at someone he did not want to lose. I am saying, Mitchell, that you have 2 choices. 1, you walk out of here today. Your mother still gets her treatment. Marcus still drives you. You find another opinion. I pay your severance for a year and you never see me again. That is choice 1. And if you choose it, I will not blame you. I will not hold it against you. I will not argue. She swallowed. And choice 2. He said it very softly. Choice 2, Mitchell, is you stay. You stay and I tell you everything. You stay and you learn what my world looks like from the inside because that is the only way you survive it. You stay and from this day forward, no one touches you. No one gets near you. No one even looks at you in a way I don't like. You stay and you are mine to protect. And whatever happens after that happens after that. He stopped. He waited. Mitchell, which one? She could not speak. Behind them, the office door opened. A man she had never seen before stepped inside. He was older than Blake with silver hair and hard eyes. He was holding a phone to his ear and his face was the color of ash. Blake. Blake turned. What? The man lowered the phone. His voice was flat. It's Victor. He knows where she lives. Blake did not move. For one long second, he did not move at all, and then everything moved at once. Say that again, Anthony. He knows where she lives, Blake. One of our people on Mulberry just picked up chatter. Victor has an address. He has her mother's name. He has the unit number. How? We don't know yet. How, Anthony? Blake, we don't know. Blake's jaw locked. He turned to Brianna. His voice went very flat and very calm, the way a man's voice gets when he has stopped feeling his hands. Mitchell, get your coat. Sir, get your coat, Brianna. It was the first time he had ever said her first name. It went through her like a current. She stood up. Her legs worked. Somehow, she walked out of the office on legs that were not hers, and she grabbed her coat off the back of her chair, and when she turned, Blake was already behind her, pulling on his own coat, moving fast. Anthony, call Marcus. I want the car at the side entrance in 90 seconds. Call Diaz. I want 2 men at her building now. Not in an hour. Now, I want her mother moved to the suite at the Carlisle within the hour with Nurse Angela, with the oxygen, with the medication, with everything. I want that apartment empty before Victor's people get within 6 blocks of it. Am I clear? Yes, Blake. And Anthony. Yes. Find out who talked. I don't care what you have to do. Find out who talked and bring me a name before dinner. Yes, Blake. Anthony was already moving phone back to his ear. Brianna stood there with her coat over her arm. Her hands were shaking so badly she could not get her sleeves lined up. Blake stopped in front of her. Breathe. Sir. Breathe, Brianna. In, out. She breathed. In, out. He took the coat out of her hands and he held it open for her, and he helped her into it like she was made of glass. His hands moved across her shoulders, settling the fabric, and for 1 second, just when his thumb brushed the back of her neck, and then he pulled away like he had been caught doing something he shouldn't. We're going to get your mother. Yes, sir. She is going to be safe, Brianna, I swear to you. She is going to be safe by 7 o'clock tonight. Yes, sir. Say my name. What? Say my name, not sir. I need to hear you say my name. She looked up at him. Her eyes were full. Blake. Good, Utem. The elevator dropped 38 floors in what felt like 3 seconds. Marcus was at the side entrance. 2 other men she had never seen before were in another car behind him. Blake opened the back door for her, and she slid in, and he got in after her, and the door shut, and the car was moving before she had found her seatbelt. Marcus, take second. Don't take FDR. Yes, sir. Tommy is in the trail car. I see him, sir. Blake turned to her. His face was carved out of something harder than stone now. Brianna, listen to me. When we get to your building, you stay in the car. Do you understand me? You do not get out. You do not open the door. You do not roll the window down. Marcus and I will go up. We will bring your mother to you. Blake, she can't walk fast. She has oxygen. She has... I know everything, Brianna. Nurse Angela is already on her way back. She will meet us at the apartment. We will carry your mother down if we have to. I have done this before. Do you understand? You've done this before? Yes, Brianna, I have done this before. She did not ask what he meant. She did not want to know. Not yet. The car pushed through traffic. Marcus was not driving like a driver. He was driving like a man who had once done something for a living that was not driving. Blake's phone rang. He answered. Talk. He listened. His face did not change, but his hand on his knee went white at the knuckles. When? He listened. How many? He listened. Where are they now? He listened. I want eyes on them every second. I want to know when they breathe. If they come within 3 blocks of that building, you tell me. Do you understand me? You tell me and we handle it. He hung up. Brianna said very quietly, how many, Blake? 2 cars. 2 cars. They are 16 minutes out. We have 12. The car pulled up to her building at 7 after 2. Marcus stopped it at an angle blocking the fire lane, and Tommy's car pulled up behind them and stopped in the same way so that the 2 vehicles made a wall between Brianna and the street. Blake was out of the car before it had fully stopped. Marcus was right behind him. She watched through the window as the 2 men moved up the steps of her building, and she saw Tommy, the man from the trail car, take a position at the bottom of the steps with his back to the door, watching the street in both directions. Tommy had a gun in his coat. She saw it when he moved. She pressed her hand against her mouth. This was not her life. This was not her life. Her phone buzzed. Angela. On my way, honey. 5 minutes out. I've got everything, she typed back. Thank you, thank you, thank you, another buzz. Not Angela. Don't look at your phone right now. Watch the street. Tell Tommy if anyone turns the corner. Blake. Her head snapped up. She looked out the window. She scanned the street. A woman with a stroller, a man walking a dog, a kid on a bike. Nothing that scared her. She typed. Clear. 2 words came back. Good girl. And somewhere in the middle of the worst day of her life, her heart did something it had not done in years. Her mother came down on Marcus's arm. She was in her pink robe. She had her oxygen cannula in, and Marcus was carrying her little portable tank under his other arm like it weighed nothing. Blake walked behind them with a duffel bag over each shoulder and a box of medication tucked under one elbow. Her mother got to the car. Blake opened the door. Her mother looked at Brianna and her eyes were huge and her eyes were scared, but her voice was her voice. Baby, who is this man? Brianna reached across the seat and took her mother's hand. Mama, this is Blake. He is going to help us. Her mother looked at Blake for a long moment. Blake looked back at her. He did not say anything. He just held the door and he waited. Her mother said, young man. Yes, ma'am. Is my daughter safe with you? Blake's voice was very quiet. Ma'am, she is the only thing in this world I am certain of right now. Her mother looked at him for another long moment. Then she said, all right, son, help me in. The Carlisle was 20 blocks north. The drive took 11 minutes. Nurse Angela met them at a side door the public never saw. 2 more men in dark coats were waiting inside. One of them nodded at Blake and said, suite is ready, sir. Oxygen is hooked up. Pharmacy delivered an hour ago. Thank you, Dean. They went up in a service elevator. The suite was on the top floor. It was bigger than Brianna's whole apartment. There was a hospital bed already made up in the main bedroom with a pulse monitor beside it and a tray of medication laid out the way the hospital laid them out, and Nurse Angela took one look at the setup and looked at Blake and said, Mr. Moretti, who did this? I did. Sir, this is a very nice setup. It is what she needs. Yes, sir, it is. Her mother let Angela help her into the bed. Her mother was tired now, the way she got tired after any kind of stress, and she closed her eyes within a minute of her head touching the pillow. Brianna sat beside her own. She held her hand. She watched her mother's chest rise and fall. Blake stood in the doorway. He did not come in. He just watched. After a long time, Brianna stood up. She walked to the door. She stopped in front of him. Blake? Yes. Say thank you is not enough. You don't have to. Listen to me. Saying thank you is not enough. So I am not going to say it. I am going to tell you something else. All right. I don't know you yet. I don't know you at all. I have worked for you for 2 years and I don't know you. But today you saved my mother's life. Today you did something no one else on this earth would have done for her. And whatever happens next, Blake, I am not walking out of that door today. I am not taking choice 1. Do you hear me? He closed his eyes. He nodded once very slowly. I hear you, Brianna. So tell me what I need to know. Not here, not in front of her. Where? Come with me. He took her down the hall to a second suite smaller with a sitting area and 2 armchairs and a small kitchen. He closed the door. He went to the small bar and poured himself a glass of water. He did not drink it. He set it down on the counter. His hand was not steady. Brianna, yes. What I am about to tell you, you cannot tell anyone. Not your mother, not Angela, not a friend, not a priest. Do you understand? Yes. My father was a capo in one of the 5 families. Do you know what that means? I think so. It means he was a man who ran a piece of New York that did not appear on any map. It means he was responsible for certain businesses, certain people, certain debts. It means that when I was 17 years old, I stood in a basement in Bensonhurst and watched him do a thing that I have been trying to forget for 22 years and I have never once been able to. Blake. Let me finish. When he died, I inherited the piece he ran. I did not want it. I took it because if I did not take it, someone worse would, and my mother would not have been safe, and my sisters would not have been safe, and my grandmother who raised me would not have been safe. So I took it. And I have spent the last 12 years doing 2 things. 1, running it the way he ran it because the men under me are loyal only to a certain kind of man, and if I stop being that man, they leave. And if they leave, I lose everything. 2. Secretly, quietly, one piece at a time, turning every single illegal business under my name into a legal one. The construction, the restaurants, the waste, the laundry, the import. Every single one. I am 7 years into it. I am 2 years away from finishing. Blake, 2 years, Brianna. 2 more years and I walk away with my hands clean. 2 more years and the name Moretti means something different, right? Than it has meant for 3 generations. And Victor, his face went hard. Victor Volkoff is Bratva. He is a captain. He runs a trafficking operation out of Brighton Beach. Women mostly, some children. She made a small sound in her throat. 2 years ago, I shut down a road of his. I did not do it as a favor to the police. I did it because one of the women he was moving through my territory was my cousin's daughter. She had run away from home. She was 15. She ended up in one of his houses. We got her out. We burned the house to the ground. We did not leave witnesses. Victor has been trying to find a way to hurt me ever since. Oh my God. Yesterday, he walked into my office because he wanted to see how close he could get. He wanted to know what I cared about. And he watched me for 30 seconds, Brianna, and he figured it out. He saw the way I did not look at you. He saw the way I stopped breathing when you brought him into my office. He saw it in the way I poured his whiskey. And he asked the question because he wanted to see my face when he asked it. And you gave him the answer. I gave him the answer. Blake, yes, I didn't ask for this. I know you didn't. I didn't sign up for a man who puts other men through walls. I know, Brianna. I'm a secretary. I take notes. I schedule meetings. I am not a woman. Men kill other men over. Blake did not answer. He just looked at her. And she realized with a cold certainty that settled into her chest that to him, she was exactly that. And she had been for 2 years. She sat down in one of the armchairs. She put her head in her hands. Blake, yes. My mother cannot know any of this. She won't. My mother thinks you are a kind businessman who is being generous. She will continue to think that, Brianna, for as long as she lives. And when she asks me how we are paying for all of this, you tell her the hospital found a sponsor. You tell her it happens sometimes. You tell her God sent us an angel, Brianna, and let her believe that. Because in the only way that matters, it is true. She was crying again. She could not stop. Blake, yes. Are you going to die? He didn't answer for a long time. No, Brianna. Are you lying to me? I am not lying to you. I have people. I have men who would walk through fire for me. I have resources that Victor does not have. I am going to handle him. I am telling you this because I want you to hear me say it, and I want you to believe me. I believe you. Good. Blake. Yes. Am I going to die? He came across the room. He knelt in front of the armchair. He took both of her hands in both of his, and his hands were warm and rough and steady. And he looked up at her, and for the first time since she had met him, there was no mask on his face at all. Brianna, look at me. She looked at him. No one is going to touch you? Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. I will burn every building Victor Volkoff owns before I let him get within 100 feet of you. Do you hear me? Yes. Say it. No one is going to touch me. Again. No one is going to touch me. Good. He stood up. He did not let go of her hands right away. He held them for one long second, and then he let them go and he stepped back, and the mask came down again, and he was Mr. Moretti again, a man running an operation. Rest. Your mother is safe. Angela is with her. There are 2 men at the door and 4 in the lobby. Nothing is coming through that is not supposed to come through. I have to go. I have a meeting in 40 minutes that cannot wait. A meeting. A family. A different family. The Morellos. They do not like the Bratva any more than I do. This afternoon I am going to remind them of that fact. Blake. Yes. Be careful. He almost smiled. Almost. Yes, Brianna, I will be careful. He walked to the door. At the door he stopped. He did not turn around. Brianna. Yes. If this was not happening, if Victor had not come in yesterday, if tomorrow was a normal Tuesday, would you ever have spoken to me? She took a long time to answer. I thought you hated me. I know. I thought I was invisible to you. I know, I worked very hard for 2 years to make you believe that. Why? Because if I had let you see me looking at you, Brianna, owing, I would not have been able to stop. And you would have been in the world I am in. And I did not want you in this world. Not for anything. She did not know what to say. He nodded more to himself than to her. He opened the door. He stepped out. He closed it behind him. And Brianna sat in the armchair in the middle of a hotel suite on the top floor of the Carlisle and watched the door for a long, long time. She did not know how many hours passed. She checked on her mother twice. Her mother was sleeping. Angela was reading a paperback. Everything was quiet. She sat back down in the armchair. She watched the clock. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8. She tried not to think about what a meeting with another crime family looked like. She failed. She thought about it every 3 minutes. Her phone buzzed at 8:12. Handled. She read it 3 times, her eyes filled. Are you hurt? No. Is anyone? A long pause. A few people are inconvenienced. No one we like. She laughed, out loud, once, in the silence of the suite, and then she put her hand over her mouth because she could not believe she had laughed and she could not believe what she was laughing at. Come back, 3 words. She stared at her own typing. She had not meant to send it, but she had sent it. The reply took 40 seconds. Brianna, come back. Please, my mother is asleep. I am alone in this suite. I don't want to be alone tonight. The dots came. The dots went. The dots came back. I will be there in 20 minutes. She put the phone down. Her hands were shaking again. He came through the door at 8:31. He had changed his shirt. There was a small cut on his knuckle that he had not had before. She saw it. She did not mention it. He took off his coat. He hung it on the back of a chair. He walked over to the armchair where she was sitting, and he sat down in the armchair beside her, and he did not say anything for a long minute. Then he said, Anthony found out who talked. Who? One of your neighbors, an older man on the 3rd floor. Victor's people paid him $800 for your unit number and your mother's name. $800. Yes. My neighbor sold me for $800. Yes. Blake. Yes. What happens to him? He was quiet for a long moment. Nothing bad, Brianna. He is an old man. He needed the money. He did not know what he was selling. We are going to move him into a place where he cannot do it again. And we are going to leave a message in the building through other channels that makes clear this does not happen twice. That is all. She nodded. She believed him. She did not know why she believed him, but she did. They sat in silence for a long time. At some point, without meaning to, she let her head fall against his shoulder. He did not move. He did not put his arm around her. He just let her head rest there, and his breathing was slow and steady, and after a while she realized hers was slow and steady too. Blake. Yes. 2 years is a long time to walk past someone. Yes. Why today? He turned his head slightly. She could feel it against her hair. Because yesterday a man asked if you were single, Brianna, and I realized I had been protecting you from the wrong thing for 2 years. I thought I was protecting you from me. And all I was doing was leaving the door open for men who were worse. Blake. Yes. I need you to promise me something. Anything. 2 years from now, when your business is clean, when your name is your own, when none of this is what it is now, you are going to come find me, wherever I am, and we are going to have a normal dinner at a normal restaurant, and you are going to tell me a normal thing about your day. And I am going to tell you a normal thing about mine, and no one is going to be afraid, and we are going to just be 2 people eating dinner. Can you promise me that? He was quiet for a long time. Then he said very quietly, Brianna, I will move heaven and earth to give you that dinner. She closed her eyes. His phone buzzed. He looked at it. Whatever he saw, his whole body went still. She felt it. She sat up. Blake? He did not answer. Blake, what? He looked at her. His face had gone white. Victor. What about him? He didn't go home tonight. He didn't go to any of his places. He has disappeared. Anthony lost him 20 minutes ago. Blake. Brianna, get up. Get Angela. Go. Get your mother. We are leaving this hotel tonight. Brianna was on her feet before her brain had caught up with her body. My mother cannot be moved again tonight, Blake. She has to be. Blake, she is 71 years old. Yeah, I knew. She just got off oxygen an hour ago. She is sleeping. I cannot. Brianna, listen to me. No, you listen to me. Brianna. His hands were on her shoulders, not hard, not rough, but firm enough to stop her. He bent down so his eyes were level with hers. Brianna, if Victor has gone off the map, it means he knows he is being watched. It means he has decided he does not care anymore. It means the next move he makes is the one he has been planning. And this hotel, Brianna, this hotel has cameras he can buy and a front door he can walk through. I need to get her somewhere that cannot be bought. Do you understand me? She was breathing too fast. Where? A house in Connecticut. 2 hours. My grandmother owns it. It is not in any of my names. It does not come up on any search. There is a full medical setup there already because my grandmother lived there the last year of her life. Your mother will have everything she needs. Angela comes with us. Blake? Yes. My mother's trial, Tuesday. It is in Manhattan. I know. We cannot be 2 hours from Manhattan on Tuesday morning. Brianna, we get to Tuesday first, then we solve Tuesday. She stared at him. She nodded. That's it. 10 minutes later, she was sitting beside her mother's bed, holding her mother's hand and gently waking her up. Mama. Mama, wake up, baby. Brianna, what time is it? Late, Mama. Listen, we have to move. Just one more time tonight. Her mother opened her eyes. She blinked slowly. She looked at Brianna's face, and whatever she saw there, she did not ask questions. That was her mother. 40 years of being poor had taught her that when your child says you have to move, you move, and you ask what is happening later. All right, baby. Blake has a car downstairs. We are going to a house in Connecticut. Angela is coming. You will have your medicine. You will have your bed. It's a nice place, Mama. You are going to be okay. Is he okay, baby? Who, Mama? Blake. Is he okay? She did not know how to answer that. He's doing what he has to do, Mama. That's what I thought. Her mother looked at her for a long moment. Baby, you love him already, don't you? Mama, it is all right if you do, baby. I saw it. I saw it when he put me in the car. I saw it just now on your face. Mama, please, we have to go. All right, baby. All right. The hallway was quiet. Dean was waiting at the elevator with 2 other men. Blake was already there holding her mother's coat. He helped her mother into it the same way he had helped Brianna that morning, like she was something fragile and rare. And Brianna watched him do it, and her chest did that thing again. That small, painful thing that was not pain and was not joy and was something in between. They took the service elevator down. The garage was cleared. 2 black SUVs were waiting, engines running. Blake opened the back door of the first one, and Marcus lifted her mother in like a child, and Angela climbed in beside her with the oxygen tank and the medication bag. Brianna moved to get in with her mother. Blake's hand came down gently on her elbow. Brianna, you are in the second car. What? No, Blake, she needs me. Angela has her. If anything goes wrong on the road, I do not want you in the same car as your mother. Do you understand what I am telling you? She understood exactly what he was telling her. Blake. I know, Brianna, I know, but this is how we do this. She leaned into the back seat. She kissed her mother's forehead. Mama, I'll be right behind you. I know, baby. Blake closed the door. The first SUV pulled out. He put his hand on the small of Brianna's back. He walked her to the second SUV. He opened the door. She got in. He got in after her. Tommy was in the passenger seat. A driver she did not know was behind the wheel. The doors locked on their own. The SUV moved. They drove in silence for 9 blocks. Then Tommy turned around from the passenger seat. Boss, talk. We've got a car on our 6, 2 back, dark sedan, changed lanes twice with us. Blake did not look. Since when? Since we left the garage. Lose him. Yes, sir. The SUV accelerated. Brianna gripped the door handle. She did not say a word. She did not breathe. She watched Blake's profile. He was not panicking. He was not even tense. He was a man doing a thing he had done before. The driver took them through a side street, then another, then across a bridge. Tommy watched the mirror the whole time. After a while, he said, Clear. You sure? Clear, boss. Good. Blake turned to her. His face was still as stone. Brianna, yes. You are going to see some things over the next few days that you cannot unsee. You are going to hear some voices raised. You are going to see men do things that will scare you. I am going to ask you right now to do one thing for me. What? Trust me. Even when you don't understand what you are seeing, trust me for 3 more days. Can you do that? She looked at him. Yes, Blake. Thank you. The house was old, stone with a long gravel drive set back from the road behind heavy trees. 3 cars were already there when they arrived. Men were walking the perimeter. Lights were on in only 3 windows. Blake's grandmother's house. They carried her mother inside on a wheelchair. Angela had the bed ready in 20 minutes. The oxygen was already there. The medication cabinet was already stocked. Blake had been preparing this place. Not tonight. Over time. Months, maybe longer. Brianna sat beside her mother's bed until her mother fell asleep again. Then she walked out into the hallway and Blake was there waiting. She's asleep. Good. Blake, when I asked, yes. How long have you had this house ready? He was quiet for a long moment. 6 months. 6 months. I started preparing it the day the trial paperwork first went through at Mount Sinai. I thought that if your mother responded well to the treatment, she would eventually need a quiet place to recover. I thought that maybe I could convince you to come here for a few weeks. I did not plan it for tonight, but I had it ready. Blake, yes. You have been planning my life for 2 years. Yes, Brianna, I have. She did not know if she was angry or grateful or something else she did not have a word for. Maybe all 3. She sat down on the bottom step of the staircase. She put her face in her hands. Blake, yes. Why did you never just talk to me? He sat down on the step beside her. He did not touch her. He just sat. Because I am 42 years old, Brianna, and you are 26, and I run a world that will eat you alive. And I looked at you every morning and I thought she deserves someone normal. She deserves a man who comes home at 6 o'clock and has a brow and owns a grill. She deserves to be looked at every morning by a man whose hands have never done the things mine have done. And I am not that man. I will never be that man. And I could not stand the thought of being the reason she never got to be loved like that. She looked up at him. Her face was wet. And now I don't have a choice. Because Victor Volkoff saw me look at you one too many times and the decision has been taken out of my hands. And I am sitting here on my grandmother's staircase with the woman I have been in love with for 2 years, and I am telling her the truth I have been swallowing for 2 years. And I don't know if she is going to forgive me for waiting this long, or forgive me for telling her now, or just stand up and walk out the door. She was crying. She could not speak. Brianna, yes, I am not asking you to say anything. I am not asking you for anything. I am telling you because you have a right to know. Blake, yes. I have been in love with you for about 7 hours. He turned his head. He looked at her. What? I didn't know it this morning. I didn't know it 2 hours ago. But somewhere in that suite at the Carlisle, when you put my coat on me like I was made of glass, I knew it. And I don't know what to do about it. I don't know anything about your world. I don't know anything about this, but I knew it. Brianna, don't say anything right now, Blake. Please. I just said a lot. Don't make me say more. He didn't say anything. He took her hand. He lifted it slowly. He pressed his lips to her knuckles very softly, only for a second, and then he set it back down. And that was the first time he had ever touched her like that. She slept in a room at the end of the hall that night. She did not sleep well. She did not sleep much. But she slept. At 5 in the morning, she heard voices downstairs. Men's voices, quiet, serious. She got up. She put on a sweater over her clothes from the day before. She walked down the stairs. Blake was in the kitchen. Anthony was there. 2 other men were there. A 5th was on the phone in the hallway. There was coffee on the counter. There was a map on the table. There was a laptop open. Blake looked up when she came in. He did not smile, but something in his face shifted toward her. You're up early. So are you. We've been up all night. I can see that. She walked over. She poured herself a cup of coffee. She stood at the counter. She looked at him. Blake. Yes. What is happening? He looked at Anthony. Anthony looked at him. Blake nodded once. Sit down, Brianna. She sat. Victor surfaced an hour ago. He is in Brighton Beach. He is at a warehouse we have known about for some time. He has brought in men from outside the country, 8 of them that we know of. He is not trying to hide anymore. What does that mean? It means he has decided to move, tonight or tomorrow night. He has gone from hunting us to coming at us directly, and that changes what we do. What do we do? Anthony spoke for the first time. We go first. She looked at him. Blake said quietly, "We have a window, Brianna. He is stationary. He has his people in one place. He is vulnerable because he has concentrated. If we move on him tonight, we end this. If we wait for him to come to us, he dictates the terms. And he will choose a moment where the people I love are exposed." Blake, yes. Are you telling me you are going to Brighton Beach tonight? No, Brianna, I am not going, but men who work for me are going. And the decision to send them is mine. And I am telling you because I am not going to do this and hide it from you. If we are going to be what we are going to be, you need to know the kind of decisions I make. She sat there with her hands around her coffee cup. She stared at the surface of the coffee. Blake, yes. People are going to get hurt tonight. Yes. People are going to date tonight. He did not say anything for a moment. Yes, Brianna, people are going to die tonight. Victor's people, and maybe some of mine. I don't know yet. I am hoping not mine, but I cannot promise that. She closed her eyes. Is there another way? I have thought about nothing else for 12 hours. There is not another way. Not one that ends with you and your mother alive 2 weeks from now. She nodded slowly. She did not open her eyes. Blake, yes. If you were not protecting me, would you do this? Brianna, answer me. He took a long breath. I would have left him alone. I would have let him hate me from a distance. I would have kept him off my territory and out of my businesses, but I would not have moved on him like this. I would not have ended him. He is not a good man, Brianna. He is not a man the world will miss. But I would not have done this tonight if it were just me. So this is because of me. No, Brianna, this is because of him. He made this choice when he walked into my office and asked about you. Not before. He could have let it alone. He didn't. And a man who has 15 women chained to radiators in basements across 3 boroughs is not going to keep breathing because you feel bad. Do you hear me? He is a plague. He is ending tonight. The only question is whether your name is the reason he noticed he could be ended. She sat there. She drank her coffee. Okay. Blake? Yes. Come back from tonight. I am not going anywhere. I am staying right here with you and your mother. You promise. I promise. Tomorrow. The men left at 7 o'clock at night. She did not watch them go. She sat upstairs beside her mother's bed. Her mother was awake. Her mother was asking questions about Connecticut. Brianna was making up stories. It was a beautiful lie she was telling. Her mother was letting her tell it. At 9 o'clock, her mother fell asleep. At 9:15, Brianna walked downstairs and Blake was in the living room at a small table, and there was a phone in front of him, face down, and there was a glass of whiskey next to it that he had not touched. She walked in. She sat down in the chair beside him. You don't drink. Not when I am waiting. How long? Could be 10 minutes. Could be 4 hours. I don't know. She reached over. She took his hand. He looked at her hand. He looked up at her face. Brianna, I'm not going anywhere. You should sleep. I'm not going to sleep tonight. Brianna. Blake, neither are you, so we sit here together. He held her hand. He held it tight, and they sat. The phone rang at 11:47. Blake picked it up before the first ring finished. Talk. He listened. His whole body went still. Say that again. He listened. Is he dead? He listened. Are you sure? He listened. How many of ours? He listened. His eyes closed just for a second. Names? He listened. I see. He listened for a long time. Bring him to me. He listened. I don't care. Bring him here. I want to see his face when I tell him. Bring him. He hung up. He set the phone down. He put his hand over his eyes. Blake. Yes. Tell me. Victor is dead. Oh. We lost 2 of ours. Oh, Blake. Dean is one of them. She did not know who Dean was really, but she remembered his face at the Carlisle. She remembered him saying, "Sweet is ready, sir." She remembered him being kind to her mother. She put her other hand over her mouth. "Blake, I am so sorry." "Oh, he has 2 children. I have to call his wife tonight. I have to tell her in a way that does not put her at risk. I have to pay for everything forever. His kids are going to college on me. His wife is going to have a house on me. I cannot bring him back, Brianna, but I can do that." "Yes, you will. You will do that." "I should have been there." "No, I should have been there." "Blake, no, you stay alive. You stay alive for your people. That is the job. That is what you told me. You stay alive and you take care of their families and you keep the thing running. You did that tonight. You did the job tonight." He did not answer. He just put his head down on her shoulder. She held him. She did not know she had it in her to hold a man like him, but she held him and he let her. At 1 a.m, there was a knock at the front door. Anthony was at the door. A car had arrived. 2 men got out. They pulled a third man out of the back seat. His hands were tied. His mouth was not covered. It was Brianna's neighbor, the old man from the 3rd floor. Brianna stood up. "Blake." "Brianna, go upstairs." "Blake, what is he doing here?" "Go upstairs, please." "Blake, you told me he was going to be moved. You told me you were going to leave him a message and move him. That is what you said." "I'm not going to hurt him, Brianna." "Then why is he here?" Blake looked at her for a long moment. "Because he talked, and the people who paid him lost everything tonight, which means he is now a loose end, not to me, to whatever is left of Victor's operation. They are going to come looking for him. Unless we move him first, unless we move him tonight, somewhere they cannot find him. I am saving his life, Brianna. I am not taking it." She stared at him. "Blake, I swear to you, Brianna, I swear on my mother's grave, I am saving this old man's life tonight. I am putting him on a plane before sunrise. He is going to live out his days somewhere warm. I am paying for it. I am not harming him. And I brought him here because I wanted you to see it. I wanted you to see that this is the man I am. I am not a man who punishes poverty. I am not a man who breaks old men. Do you hear me?" She looked past Blake. The old man on the porch was crying. He was crying and saying he was sorry. He was saying he did not know. He was saying it over and over. Blake walked past her. He walked out onto the porch. He crouched down in front of the old man. He said something very quietly that Brianna could not hear. The old man nodded. The old man cried harder. Blake put a hand on the old man's shoulder. Blake stood up. Blake nodded at Anthony. They took the old man away, gently, carefully, like they were babying grandfather somewhere for Christmas. Blake came back inside. He closed the door. He did not look at her right away. He stood with his forehead against the door. "Brianna, yes. Am I the man you thought I was this morning?" "No, Blake. Am I better or worse?" She walked to him. She turned him around. She looked up at him. "You are a man I can love. That is what you are. That is all I know right now." He made a sound that was half a laugh and half something else. "Brianna, yes. I am so tired. I know. I have been tired for 22 years. I know. Is this over? Tonight is over. Yes, tonight is over." He closed his eyes. He let her hold him. And in the dark entryway of a stone house in Connecticut, 2 people who should not have made sense in any world held each other up. At 3 a.m, her phone rang. Not a text, a call. She looked at the screen. It was Angela. Her heart stopped. "Angela. Brianna, honey, you need to come upstairs right now." "Is she?" "Just come, baby. Come now." Brianna dropped the phone. She ran. Brianna took the stairs 2 at a time. She hit the landing. She ran down the hall. She pushed open her mother's door so hard it bounced against the wall, and she stopped in the doorway and her heart came up into her throat. Her mother was sitting up in bed. Her mother was awake. Her mother was smiling. Her mother was holding a cup of tea. Angela was standing by the bed with her arms crossed, and Angela was shaking her head. And Angela was smiling too, and Angela said, "Honey, I am so sorry I scared you. I am so sorry. But look at her." Brianna's knees gave out. She put a hand against the door frame. She caught herself. "Angela, what?" "Look at her color, baby. Look at her." Brianna looked. Her mother's skin was not gray. Her mother's lips were not blue. Her mother's eyes were clear. Her mother looked like her mother again for the first time in 7 months. Her mother set down the teacup. "Come here, baby." Brianna walked over on legs that were still trying to decide if they worked. She sat down on the edge of the bed. She took her mother's hand. Her mother's hand was warm. Her mother's hand was steady. "Mama, you scared me half to death." "That was Angela, baby, not me. Angela said we had to call you. I told her you were downstairs working." "Working?" Brianna almost laughed. "Yes, Mama. Working." "Baby, listen to me." "Yes, Mama." "Something happened just now." "What happened?" Angela spoke. "Brianna, her oxygen levels came up on their own. She is breathing at 96% right now. She has not been above 91 in 4 months. Her color is back. Her heart rate is steady. I don't know what I am looking at. I have been a nurse for 22 years, and I don't know what I am looking at. I just know that something turned." Angela: "I know, honey, I know. It doesn't mean she is cured. It doesn't mean the cancer is gone. But it means her body has strength right now that it did not have yesterday, and we need to get her to that trial on Tuesday, because if her body is fighting the treatment, has something to work with. Do you understand me?" Brianna nodded. She could not speak. Her mother squeezed her hand. "Baby." "Yes, Mama." "Is he downstairs?" "Who?" "Blake." "Yes, Mama." "Go get him." "Mama, go get him, baby. I want to see him." She found Blake in the kitchen. He was standing at the sink, his back to her, his hands braced on the counter, his head down. He had not slept. He had not changed his shirt. He had just gotten off the phone with Dean's wife. She had heard the tail end of the call. She had heard him say, "I'm sorry," 3 times, and she had heard him say, "Whatever you need," 4 times, and she had heard him say, "For the rest of your life," once very quietly. She walked up behind him. She put a hand on his back. "Blake." "Yes." "My mother wants to see you." He turned around. He saw her face. Something in him went tight. "Is she?" "She's better, Blake. She's better." Angela doesn't understand it. Her numbers came up on their own. She is sitting up. She is drinking tea. She wants to see you. He stared at her. "Brianna." "I know. I don't know what to say to that." "Come upstairs." He came upstairs. Her mother was still sitting up when they walked in. She looked at Blake. Blake stopped at the foot of the bed. He did not sit. He did not move. He just stood there, and this huge, dangerous, exhausted man looked at a 71-year-old woman in a pink robe like he was afraid she might disappear if he got any closer. Her mother said, "Young man." "Yes, ma'am." "Come sit down here." "Ma'am, Come sit, son. Don't make an old woman ask twice." He walked around the bed. He sat down in the chair beside her. His hands went to his knees, and his hands looked wrong on his knees like he did not know what to do with them. "Blake." "Yes, ma'am." "I don't know what kind of man you are." He looked down. "But I know 3 things about you." "Yes, ma'am." "You carried me down 3 flights of stairs today without breathing hard." "That is 1. "Ma'am, let me finish. You carried me down 3 flights of stairs. You put me in a bed that was made up for me. You paid for my medicine that I could not pay for. That is 3 things, and you have not asked me for 1 thing in return. So I am going to tell you something, and then you are going to stop looking at the floor and look at me. Do you hear me?" "Yes, ma'am." "Look at me, Blake Moretti." He looked at her. Her mother took a long breath. She smiled at him. She said, "I was not going to make it to Christmas." "Ma'am." "Hush. I was not going to make it to Christmas." "Well, see, you Christmas, I knew it. Dr. Raines knew it. Brianna did not know it because Brianna would not let herself know it. But I knew it." Brianna made a small sound. Her mother reached out without looking. Her mother squeezed her hand. "Hush, baby. I am talking to Blake." "Yes, Mama." "Blake, I am going to make it to Christmas now. Do you understand what I am saying to you?" "Yes, ma'am." "You bought me Christmas, son. You bought me a Christmas I was not going to have. And if there is anything in this life I can do with you, you ask me and I will do it." Blake closed his eyes. He did not speak for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was not quite steady. "Ma'am, there is 1 thing." "Name it." "Don't be afraid of me. When you know what I am, when you hear the rumors, when Brianna tells you one day, because she will one day and she should, Don't be afraid of me. That is the one thing. Her mother looked at him. She looked at him for a long, long moment. Then she said, "Son, I already know what you are. I have known since you put me in that car yesterday. You are a man who was raised hard and who loves harder, and you were born in the wrong family, and you have spent your whole life trying to claw your way back to who you should have been. I know that look, Blake. My husband, God rest him, had that same look. You are not going to scare me. Do you hear me? You do not get to scare me." Blake's shoulders came down. Something in him let go. "Yes, ma'am. Now, one more thing. Yes, ma'am. You love my daughter. Yes, ma'am. She loves you. Ma'am, don't argue with a sick old woman, son. I know what I see. Now listen to me. If you are going to love her, you are going to love her all the way. None of this 2 years of walking past her desk nonsense. None of this I am protecting her by staying away nonsense. You love her out loud. You love her by ear so that everybody in the room knows it. You love her so that when I close my eyes for the last time in this life, I close them knowing somebody is going to keep loving her the way I have loved her. Can you do that?" "Yes, ma'am." "Say it to her, not me." Blake turned his head. He looked at Brianna. His eyes were wet. She had never thought she would see that. She saw it. "Brianna, yes, I love you. I know. I love you out loud, so everyone in the room knows it. I know, Blake." Her mother let out a long, satisfied breath. "All right, now, both of you go get some sleep. An old woman needs her rest." They went downstairs. Neither of them slept. They sat on the big couch in the living room, and she put her head against his shoulder, and he put his arm around her, and they watched the dark window until the dark turned gray, and the gray turned pink, and the pink turned into the kind of morning that makes you believe against your better judgment that the worst is behind you. At 6 in the morning, Anthony came in quietly. He stopped in the doorway. "Boss?" "Yes, Anthony." "A word." Blake looked at Brianna. She sat up. "Go, I am fine." He went. She sat on the couch and listened to the low murmur of their voices in the hallway, and she could not quite hear what they were saying, but she could hear the tone. Serious, then quieter, then something that almost sounded like relief. Blake came back in. He sat down beside her. He took her hand. "Brianna, yes, it is done. Victor. Everything Victor ran, the warehouses, the houses in Brighton Beach, his people, the money routes, everything. It is gone. Most of it went last night. The rest went this morning. His whole operation is dust." She swallowed. "The women. 43 women, Brianna." "What?" 43 women were in his houses. We got them all out, every single one. They are with people now, doctors, counselors, families for the ones who have families, new names and new places for the ones who don't. I am paying for all of it. I am going to pay for all of it for as long as they need it. Do you understand what I am saying to you?" She was crying again. 43. 43. Blake. Yes. All this time, all this terrible, terrible night, 43 women got to go home. Yes. She put her face against his chest. He held her. His hand was in her hair. "Brianna. Yes. This is why I did it. I know. This is why it had to be last night. I know, Blake. If we had waited even one more day, if we had let him plan his move on us, he would have moved those women first. He would have put them on trucks. He would have split them across 3 countries. We would have lost them. I could not let that happen. I did not let that happen. You did not let that happen. I did the math, Brianna. I did the math on every life in that building, and I made the call. You made the right call. I made the call I could live with." She held him tighter. Tuesday came. They drove into the city at dawn. Her mother was in the first car with Angela. Brianna and Blake were in the second. Marcus drove. Tommy rode shotgun. 2 more cars bracketed them. Nobody was taking any chances. Not yet. Maybe not for a while. Her mother went into Mount Sinai at 8:15. Dr. Raines met them at the private entrance. Dr. Raines shook Blake's hand. Dr. Raines did not ask questions. Dr. Raines was a man who knew how to not ask questions. The first treatment took 3 hours. Brianna sat beside her mother. Blake sat in a waiting room down the hall on the phone handling things. Every 45 minutes he came in. He stood in the doorway. He looked at her mother. He looked at Brianna. He nodded. He left again. At noon, her mother opened her eyes. She looked at Brianna. Baby. Yes, Mama. Tell him to come in here. Brianna stood. She walked to the door. Blake was already there. He walked in. Her mother looked at him. Son, tell me something true. Yes, ma'am. Are you still in danger? Blake looked at her for a long moment. Ma'am, the man who threatened your daughter is gone. His whole network is gone. There is nobody right now looking for us. But in my line of work, ma'am, there is always somebody who might. I will not lie to you about that. I will tell you this. I am walking away. I am finishing the transition I started 7 years ago, and I am finishing it faster now. Everything I own will be legal inside 6 months. My name will be clean inside a year. After that, the only thing I do for a living is sign checks and eat dinner with your daughter. Her mother smiled. Son? Yes, ma'am. That is the most romantic thing I have ever heard. Blake almost laughed. Yes, ma'am. Come here. He came closer. Her mother put a thin hand on his cheek. You be good to her. Yes, ma'am. You be good to her, Blake Moretti. You be better to her than any man has ever been to any woman in this city. You hear me? Yes, ma'am. Good. She closed her eyes. She went back to sleep. Blake stood there with her mother's hand slipping off his face, and Brianna watched him, and she saw something happen to him that she did not have a word for. A man who had been alone his whole life being claimed by a mother who was not his mother. She saw his throat work. She saw him blink. She saw him turn his head so she could not see his face. She let him have that moment. 6 months later, her mother walked down the aisle. She walked slowly. She walked with a cane. She walked with Angela on one side and Brianna's uncle on the other. But she walked, on her own 2 feet, into a small chapel in Connecticut on a Saturday in the fall with 30 people in the pews, most of them Blake's people, a few of them, Brianna's and Dr. Rain's, sitting in the back row in a suit that did not quite fit him, smiling like a man who had seen a miracle. Brianna stood at the altar in a dress her mother had chosen. Blake stood across from her in a suit that did fit him. His eyes had not left her since she walked in. The priest was an old Italian man who had known Blake's grandmother. The priest did the service in English and in Italian. The priest said all the right words. And when it came time for the vows, Blake took both of her hands in both of his, and he looked at her and he said, Brianna Elise Mitchell, I walked past you every morning for 2 years because I thought I was not good enough to speak to you. I was wrong. I am still not good enough. I am never going to be good enough. But I am going to spend the rest of my life trying. I am going to stand between you and the world for as long as the world lets me. I am going to put my hand on your back when you walk into every room. I am going to make sure that every morning you wake up knowing that somebody looked at you on a train platform 2.5 years ago and never, ever, ever stopped looking. That is my vow. That is all I have. She said her vows. She did not remember them afterward. She only remembered that she said them and that she meant every word. The priest pronounced them husband and wife. Blake kissed her. The chapel clapped. Her mother cried. Anthony actually cried, which nobody had ever seen before. Marcus clapped harder than anyone. Tommy was already at the door scanning the parking lot out of habit because some habits do not die easily. And Brianna stood there in the middle of her whole new life in a dress her mother had bought her with the hand of a man who had loved her in silence for 2 years in the middle of her back. And she understood finally completely what it meant to be safe. Not from men like Victor Volkoff, not from the world. She would never be entirely safe from the world. Nobody was. Safe from being invisible. Safe from being overlooked. Safe from being alone in a stairwell at lunchtime, trying not to make a sound because she did not want strangers to see her cry. Somebody had seen her. Somebody had never stopped seeing her. A year after that, Blake signed the last piece of paper. His father's businesses were closed. His name was his own. The men who had worked for his father for 30 years had been paid off, relocated, or handed off to operations he no longer had any part in. He was on paper, and in fact a legitimate businessman who ran a construction company and 3 restaurants and a waste management firm. His tax returns were boring. His life was boring. He loved it. Brianna did not go back to being anyone's secretary. She went to school at night. She got a degree in social work. She took a job running a small nonprofit that Blake had quietly funded, a nonprofit that helped women get out of the kind of houses Victor Volkoff used to run. The nonprofit had by then helped place 270 women. Her name was not on any of the paperwork. She did not want it to be. The work was the work. The work was enough. Her mother lived. Her mother lived to see her 50th anniversary of a husband already gone. Her mother lived to see 2 grandchildren, a boy named Daniel after Brianna's father, and a girl named Rose after Blake's grandmother. Her mother lived to sit on a porch in Connecticut with her feet up and a cup of tea in her hand, watching her grandchildren chase each other across the lawn, watching her son-in-law teach the boy how to throw a ball, watching her daughter laugh at something Angela said. Her mother lived. And one evening, many years after everything that had happened, when the children were in bed and the house was quiet and the stars were out, Brianna and Blake sat on that porch together, and she put her head on his shoulder the way she had on the couch in Connecticut all those years before, and she said, "Blake, yes. Do you remember that night in the Carlisle?" "Yes, Brianna, I remember every minute of that night." "Do you remember what I asked you for?" He was quiet for a moment, and then he smiled, a real smile, the kind he had learned how to do finally with time and practice in her. "You asked me for a normal dinner at a normal restaurant where nobody dies and nobody is afraid." "Yes. I have given you 10,000 of those dinners, Brianna. I know Blake. Have I made good on that promise?" She lifted her head. She looked at him. She put her hand against his face. She smiled. "Blake Moretti, you made good on every promise you ever made to me. Every single one." He kissed her forehead. He held her close. And somewhere in the house behind them, a child laughed in her sleep, and an old woman who had not been going to make it to Christmas dreamed the easy dreams of a life that had been saved. A man had once stood on a subway platform and watched a woman cry. He had almost walked away. He had almost been like everybody else. But he had not walked away. He had turned around. He had made a choice. And because of that one choice on one ordinary evening, on one ordinary platform, in one ordinary city, 2 lives became 1 life, and a family was built, and a mother lived, and 43 women went home, and a name that had meant cruelty for 3 generations came to mean at last something better. They had earned every minute of it, and they kept it for the rest of their lives.